Cool. We can make our way in. All right, let's go and join Mr. T. I know I shouldn't call him that, I'm sorry. I know it causes great confusion because Mr. T was a Mapocho male lion, but I can't help it. It's something that slipped in. I'm not sure which of us started it, but it's something that has slipped into our vernacular. Oh, let's turn that down a little. Okay, and there we go. Hello, boy. Hi, Chris. How are you? Good, thanks. Hi, guys. Hi. Sorry, everybody. Just saying hello to one of the other vehicles and their guests. And there he is, Tingana himself, flicking off the flies that are buzzing round his head. He is a truly magnificent specimen in terms of a male leopard. He's all head and shoulders, and his neck seems to sort of blend into the two of them. I'm just going to put my handbrake up because the Wendy's making some very funny crinking, groaning noises. You thought it was a leopard? No, I'm afraid not. It's the car trying to roll back into Red Dam. Now, I think the first thing we need to chat about, because of course this is the first time that we have seen Tingana, and I think many of you perhaps will be approaching the sighting with mixed emotions, is just to chat a little bit about what happened the other day. For our new viewers, we had a very strange and relatively inexplicable incident. It wasn't with us, it wasn't on our live safaris, but we did receive a phone call from the witnesses to this particular incident the night that it happened. And it occurred with a female leopard known as Shaluva up in the northernmost reaches of Tingana's territory, so right on the boundary with Djuma up near Buffelshoek. And that particular spot is the intersection between Tingana's territory, Mvula's territory, and a young incoming leopard known as Djuma. And we're not quite sure exactly how it happened. We do know what happened, and we won't go into the details of it. But suffice to say, Tingana was seen on the sunset safari making his way into Buffelshoek. And there were some vehicles with this female leopard, Shaluva, who was roughly Karula's age, well, she was nearly Karula's age. And Tingana came in and killed her almost instantly. He rushed in, and for some unknown reason, he grabbed her and he killed her. It was a terribly tragic turn of events, and the people that called us were most distraught about what they had just witnessed, utterly devastated. And for them, of course, Shaluva was she was like the Karula of that Buffelshoek area, so you can imagine how devastating it must have been for them, and completely inexplicable. And the first thing I just want to say is that nature isn't cruel. Nature does things for inexplicable reasons sometimes, but that's only because we're human and we don't understand. I don't know what was going through Tingana's head when he did kill Shaluva, but I would urge you all not to villainize him. He did a bad thing, and I personally don't think he actually intended it. I think he rushed forward. I think he moved into an area that he knows he has rivals in. He thought she was a male, and he rushed in looking for a fight. And because he's double her size, he killed her almost straight away before she even had a chance to fight back. I really think he thought she was a male. That's the dominant theory that we've come up with, but truly we'll never know. We'll never know exactly what went through Tingana's head at that moment. Hey boy, what happened? We don't know. And leopards do things for their own reasons, and life can be really tough out here and violent, and you have to fight for your place and your territory and your right to pass on your genetics. And that's exactly what Tingana was doing. And it was so unfortunate that Shaluva was the victim of it. And of course, she could have been a female with whom he could have mated and passed on his own genes. I just don't think he realized. And she was a little bit bigger than Karula. She was quite a big, stocky leopard. I will comfort you all, though, in that sad situation by saying that I don't think Shaluva suffered at all. We did go through with a Panthera representative to go and collect DNA samples from her after she was killed. Tingana had been Unfortunately, as animals do, they don't waste a meal, so he had been feeding off her, but he was lying up a little bit away from her, and as soon as we got to the carcass, he immediately got up and ran, as soon as we got out of the car. So she is bigger than Karula. And we didn't see any signs of pregnancy, but that's also entirely possible that perhaps she had cubs that she was trying to protect, that cubs that would not have been Tingana's, so that is possible. We can't dismiss that theory because we don't know. But the dominant theory was that he thought he made a mistake. He thought she was a male. A very, very sad incident, but not a reason for us to hate Tingana. Unfortunately, it is just the way of things out here. And I don't think we need to fear a repeat of that incident. I think it is very, very unusual behavior. There's definitely nothing wrong with him. It's not any kind of disease or anything like that we can see. And Paul, you wanted to know, because I think a lot of people, and it's good to address this, a lot of people were concerned that he might do the same to other females, and maybe even Karula. And yes, we do think there's a good chance that he is the father of Karula's cubs. We don't know for certain. We'll never know for certain until the DNA results come back from the scat samples that we collect, and that could take years, but eventually we'll find out the truth about who the father of Karula's cubs is. I mean, I spoke about the fact that she was mating with Tingana not too long ago around Red Dam. Well, it was a year and a bit ago, and there's a good chance. We saw her mating with him several times, so there is a good chance that he fathered those cubs. He is the dominant male. But female leopards, of course, for our new viewers, female leopards are clever creatures. They know all about how to go about tricking the various males in the area into thinking that they are the father by mating with as many males as possible. And it might just be that Shaluva, unfortunately, didn't mate with Tingana and he didn't recognize her. I don't think, as far as I know, there's no records of Shaluva ever having mated with Tingana. He's snoozing away quite happily, quite oblivious to the drama that he caused. It just doesn't enter into their way of thinking. I think I might go round to the other side. I actually think we might have a really stunning view. Oh, hold on, his head's up. Let me just move out of the way here. Oh, hold on. Shanae's going forward. Sorry, just bear with me one moment. I'm just waiting to see which way Shanae wants to go and if she can get round, and then we can reposition to get to Tingana. Okay, let's keep looking at Tingana for now. It is such a stunning view, and he does have his head up. Hello, boy. I wonder if he knows there's lions there. He's looking in the direction of the lions. I wonder if he's realized that they are around. I don't think so. I don't think he hasn't realized. That was very ambiguous. I don't think that he hasn't realized. I think he knows that there are lions there. Hi, Shanae, how are you? Good, thanks. Thanks very much. Cool. Sorry, everybody, just saying hello to one of the other guides, a name that many of you will recognize, of course. Shanae, who works at Nkoro. He's glancing off in the direction of the lions, and they're not a threat to him, at least at this distance. He's got a nice sort of prominent spot on the dam wall. He can see around him, and he knows that he is the fastest creature out here in terms of speed. We did actually once see Tingana. Oh, is he going to soar? Or is he just shifting a very full belly? I think he's just shifting a very full belly. We did actually once see Tingana have a very narrow escape from a lioness. That was actually relatively scary. He was hunting and he didn't realize she was there. He wasn't paying enough attention, and she managed to sneak up on him, and she had a full run up. So a leopard is faster than a lion. Oh, awesome. A leopard is faster than a lion, but it takes them a while, like all sprinters, to reach their top speed, although they do it much faster than a human being. So he didn't have time to reach his full top speed, whereas she was barreling towards him, and he just managed to leap up into a marula tree and escape her attentions. It was a very close call. Oh. It's so hard to reconcile what we see now in the form of this gorgeous male leopard and the events that occurred the other night. But it is something that just happens in the wild, and it probably is less rare than we think it is. I don't think it's common. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that happens regularly. But I think it probably does occur more than we realize. Leopards make mistakes. And if he was walking in an area where he could smell other males, perhaps even another male had freshly scent marked. Andrew, you wanted to know whether or not a male leopard would kill its own female cub. No, probably not. But it does occasionally occur, and Tingana has been known. I don't know about known. I have heard stories, and you always have to take them with a pinch of salt, but I have heard stories that Tingana did kill one or two cubs in his sort of early days of his reign, that might have been his, and that he obviously didn't accept as his. Any male cat will kill any female's cubs that are not his own, or that he doesn't realize are his own, as a way of bringing her back into estrus as quickly as possible. So it happens with lions. I mean, the Birmingham boys killed the Styx cubs and some of the Nkuhuma's females, the adult females. It happens with lions, it happens with leopards, and leopards will also kill young males as a way of reducing any possible rivals. But they tend to be much more tolerant of their cubs, and of course Tingana is quite not an old leopard, but he's a mature leopard now. He's been in control for a long time, and he knows how to sort of handle cubs and females. And bear in mind, I've seen him with Karula and her cubs. He's been seen with Shadow and her cubs sharing kills. He's been seen with Karula sharing kills with her and her cubs, and he hasn't done them any harm. He does look absolutely beautiful in this afternoon light. Now, caged on the subject of leopards killing other leopards, you wanted to know if Karula has ever killed another leopard. Not that I know of, and not probably that any of us will ever know of. There's always supposition, and there's always wild stories bouncing about. I think we would be silly to assume that she wouldn't if she came across potentially an unrelated female's cubs that were left unattended. I don't think that the chances of her killing her own daughter's cubs are very slim. But it's not impossible that she could kill cubs of an unrelated female, because they would be competition. I doubt she's done it, but it is possible. And the same applies to all leopards. They don't have the same code of morality. They're not governed by the same rules. They live completely different lives that we don't even begin to understand, or even begin to imagine the difficulties of. So it's possible. Just in the same way that it's possible that a Sindile could kill a young cub. That is what young males do. We just never know. And bear in mind, we spend, I don't know, maybe 2% of their lives with them, probably even less, of their day-to-day, everyday existence. We just don't see everything. Now, speaking of Karula, and just so you know, I'm not saying that she has killed any leopard cubs, let's go back across to Brent to see how she's doing.
Welcome. We're finally, after following Karula for hours through the thickest of the thickest bush, arrived at what she killed, and it is one of the first baby impala of the year. There it is. Oh, so many flies. Hassan has already eaten quite a bit. He ate the liver. And, oh, look at that, the flies are just too much for it. Hassana left because the flies were too much for him. Shongilila seems to be facing a similar problem. They've grown up during a winter period. They haven't had to deal with all these flies before. Fight them, Shongi, fight them. But as I said, we're not going to stay here very long. It's about to get dark. The kill's on the ground. Cubs are here. Just wonderful that Karula managed to catch baby impala for the little ones. And we managed to get a good view. Now, I think they're probably going to wait until the flies settle down as it gets dark before starting to feed. And unfortunately, we're not going to be here. We don't want to be attracting any hyenas into this area. But we're going to go see what else we can find. And there we go. You can see that mass of flies. They don't seem to bother lions as much as they bother leopards. Oh, she does. Shame. Oh, shame, man. Those flies are making it difficult for you to eat, little Shongi. When summer's coming, you're going to have to get used to that, my girl. Here we go, get tucked in. Okay, while Shongi gets tucked in, we're going to duck out. While we do that, let's go back to another incredible leopard with Jamie.
While the royal family tucks into their meal, we are still with the magnificent Tingana stretched out across the dam wall. Now, just on the subject of spotlighting, typically in this situation with Tingana on the dam wall, I would quite happily sit with a spotlight next to him. However, we are quite literally in the direct eye line of the lions. I mean, they can see us, and I could, when I repositioned, I could actually see them briefly a moment ago. So they've got a kill, and they are right in at the point that they can see Tingana, and whilst I don't think it would make a major difference, it's not a risk I'm willing to take. So we won't be spotlighting Tingana either, just to make sure that we don't have any kind of negative impact on these animals, especially with lions so close. And if I were in a sighting with Tingana and I was sitting here with a spotlight on him and I noticed some lions, I would immediately turn all of my lights off. So we're definitely not going to be risking his safety in any way. Hey boy, what do you say to that? One very sleepy, very full leopard. He's tremendously comfortable, you know, for a leopard that, in my theory, and what I said earlier, who knows that there's lions there, he's got his back to them completely. He's totally turned away from them. It just goes to show how reliant these animals are on their exceptional senses, especially sense of hearing. He's lying there quite happily, quite contentedly. I can't say that I would be napping so comfortably with lions so close to me. But then again, I can't jump 3 meters up into a tree from a standing start. So perhaps that has something to do with it. A supreme sense of the nature of his reflexes. I definitely can't do what he can do. He could probably jump straight into that tree from where he is and be out of their reach in 2 seconds. Alright, just enjoying the peace of the evening. Listening to the sound of the pygmy or red-chested cuckoo. Laurie, welcome to the Sunset Safari. I'm sorry, I don't quite understand the first part of your question. You've asked who holds territory best. Is it lions, leopards, or hyenas? I'm not quite sure what you mean by best. Do you mean for the longest time period or the most successfully? I'm not quite sure exactly what it is you mean by best. However, in terms of holding territory for the longest period of time, probably lion prides. There's a constant sort of ebb and flow, especially within the males of the species, both male lions and male leopards, and female leopards to a degree. But lion prides generally seem to be the guardians of an area for generations and generations and generations. Yes, they move a little bit and their home range shifts a little bit, but lion prides made up only of females will be the ones that probably, in terms of best, will hold their territories for the longest. Excuse me. Female leopards are in a constant state of flux, and of course they are constantly giving up little bits of their territory to their daughters. Their males disperse, and then male leopards and male lions, it really does just depend on the circumstances. A leopard or a lion could hold a territory for 4 years or 5 years, but if there's another competitor, then they could only hold it for 1.5 years or not even make it to that long. It's very much dependent on external factors. In terms of them competing with And then in terms of fighting each other for the same territory, they don't. So, Glory, they are in competition with each other, so they don't necessarily tolerate each other in the same place. Lions will go out of their way to kill other big cats, as will big cats, all big cats. If a leopard happened upon a hyena cub, it would kill it. Leopards and hyenas generally tend to hang around relatively close to each other without fussing too much. You don't often get leopard-hyena conflict. The hyena might come in and steal the leopard's food, but no, they don't compete for the same territories. So it's not as though each species has to have a distinctive territory. Look at this. I mean, Tingana's 200 meters, no, less than. He's 100 meters away from these lions now, and not at all concerned. So no, they don't hold distinct and separate territories from each other, but they are in competition with each other, and as a result, they could actually kill each other and do come into conflict every now and again. And the biggest conflict, or the biggest situation in terms of an overpopulation of lions, which we don't have here, but does occasionally occur, but as soon as you get too many lions, you lose all of your smaller predators. Not all of them, but you lose a large percentage of them. The other animals are just out-competed, and they either move off or they are killed by the lions. Now, I doubt that Amber Eyes or that male is going to stir, and in fact I think one thing that probably counts in Tingana's favour, whether he realises it or not, is the presence of Mfumo. Now, Mfumo is not a young male lion, so he's not going to be intrigued by the sight of a leopard. He's not going to go out of his way to try and catch Tingana, or he's unlikely to. Young male lions are dangerous things because they're full of curiosity and testosterone, and they want to experiment, and they have that natural instinct to attack anything that they see. But an older, slightly more established male lion is less likely to, and now especially because his attention is diverted by Amber Eyes, I doubt he's going to. She could try and stalk him, but I doubt Mfumo is going to let her. And in the ensuing ruckus created by the two of them coming into conflict with each other, Tingana would probably be up and away and disappearing like a shadow into the night. Speaking of shadow, she has been found on Simbambili. Just by the way, for those of you who have been concerned about her, we haven't seen her in a while. Shadow is Karula's oldest daughter, and she used to spend a lot of time in this area that we're in now, but she has been slowly but surely pushed out by another female, another much larger female, actually. Now, Isabella, welcome to the sunset safari. While our leopard dozes away quite happily on the ground, you wanted to know if it's common for leopards to sleep on the ground out in the open like this, or if it's just because he feels safe. Leopards are funny things. They are particularly big male leopards who do feel secure in themselves. Oh, good morning. And hello. Flopping over. Leopards are curious creatures. They do strange things and they're unpredictable. Yes, they often sleep out in the open, despite the fact that when you read a textbook, one of the first things it says is that leopards love to hide away in dense vegetation, which they do, but they also don't mind lying out in the open. And I do think there is a degree that he feels safe. Maybe because he knows where the lions are, or maybe just because it is as open as it is, and he's got such a nice high vantage point. So it's kind of like a leopard lying on a termite mound. He's just lying on a dam wall or a waterhole wall. When it's hot, they sleep up in the tree, where there's shade and there's a breeze, and the earth is not baking them from below. I think he's too full to go up a tree right now, though. Unless he has to. He's still looking in the direction of the lions. They might be up and feeding by now. I'm trying to see if I can see them from here. I can't from my angle. But just to give you an idea, do you see where the dead tree is? Let's just try and show you. from where we are now, and from where to that dead tree at the back, that is where the lions are. The dead tree is at the back. Oh, and I just think I just heard one of them. There. The lions are roughly there underneath that tree, but hidden in the thicket. So that's how close we are to the lions. So in the next few seconds, we're going to be leaving Tingana to go off in search of other nocturnal creatures. However, while we do that, let's go over to Brent and see what his plans are for the rest of the sunset safari.